You felt it before. That sinking feeling in your stomach when you get bad news. The butterflies before something important. The churning when you're anxious about something you can't even name. We write those off as just nerves, but they're not. They're evidence of something far more significant happening inside your body than most people ever realize. Your gut is not just a digestion machine. It is an independent neural network with its own nervous system, its own neurotransmitters, its ability to sense, process, and respond to information without asking your brain for instructions. Scientists call it the enteric nervous system. But the nickname that has stuck is more dramatic and accurate: the second brain. Today, we're breaking down what your second brain is, how it talks to your actual brain, what it controls, and why the gut may be the most important organ for mental health, mood, immunity, and even diseases like Parkinson's. And none of this is fringe science. This is well-established neuroscience. It's just not talked about enough. Your gut contains approximately 500 million neurons. Let that land for a moment. 500 million. Neurons, the same type that make up your brain and spinal cord. For context, your spinal cord has roughly 100 million neurons. Your gut has 5 times more. This neural network, called the enteric nervous system, lines the entire digestive tract. It runs in 2 thin sheaths of tissue embedded in the gut wall. This complex mesh of nerve cells can operate entirely independently. This means your brain can be removed from the equation, and your gut will keep working. It senses the contents and conditions inside your digestive tract, makes decisions, and generates responses. It controls digestion, enzyme secretion, blood flow, and immune responses all autonomously. This discovery forced scientists to rethink what they knew about the digestive system. It isn't a passive tube managed from above. It's an active, intelligent network managing itself. Now, it does communicate with your brain. The main highway is the vagus nerve, connecting the 2 systems. But here's the surprise. Approximately 90% of the signals traveling along the vagus nerve go upward, from the gut to the brain. Your gut is not receiving orders. It is sending reports. Your brain is largely a receiver of information from your gut. Here is the fact that tends to stop people mid-conversation. Approximately 90 to 95% of all serotonin is produced in your gut. Not in your brain. In your gut. Serotonin is described as the feel-good neurotransmitter, regulating mood, sleep, appetite, and well-being. It's the chemical that antidepressants like SSRIs increase, and almost all of it originates from your digestive tract, in specialized cells called enterochrome cells, triggered largely by your gut microbiome. Around 50% of the body's dopamine is also produced in the gut, dopamine being associated with motivation, reward, and pleasure. However, serotonin produced in the gut cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. It does affect the brain in 2 ways. First, gut-produced serotonin stimulates the vagus nerve, sending signals that affect mood and emotional regulation. Second, the gut microbiome influences serotonin production, affecting the entire system. This has huge implications for mental health. If the gut produces most of the body's serotonin, disruptions to the gut may directly affect mood due to poor diet, antibiotics, stress, or illness. Stanford medicine studies now describe the gut as a starting point for contrasting conditions like anxiety or long COVID's cognitive effects. Mainstream neurogastroenterology is shifting. Inside your gut, there are approximately 100 trillion microorganisms. Bacteria, viruses, and fungi, collectively the gut microbiome, live in an ecosystem of staggering complexity. There are around 10 times more microbial cells in your gut than human cells in your body. This community is active. It's constantly producing compounds that signal your immune system and communicate with your nervous system. The most studied of these compounds are short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, from gut bacteria fermenting dietary fiber. They can cross the blood-brain barrier, influencing inflammation and neural development. Disruptions to this microbial diversity, known as dysbiosis, have been linked to conditions like depression, anxiety, autism, schizophrenia, and neurodegenerative diseases. Though evidence remains correlational, researchers at leading institutions are investigating microbiome-based interventions, probiotics, dietary adjustments, and even fecal transplants as treatments for psychiatric conditions. Some compelling evidence comes from animal studies. Germ-free mice, raised without any gut microbiome, show greatly elevated stress responses. Transplants from stressed mice to calm mice induce stress behaviors. Switching back to a healthy microbiome reduces those behaviors. The gut microbiome is a participant in your body's chemistry. So, what about gut feelings? Is there actual science behind them? Yes. The enteric nervous system monitors conditions inside the gut: chemical composition, bacterial balance, immune activity, and sends that information up the vagus nerve to the brain. Research shows that people better at detecting gut sensations tend to make accurate intuitive judgments and show stronger emotional awareness. The feeling in your stomach when something goes wrong is your enteric nervous system registering a pattern and signaling your brain. This is why chronic stress affects the gut. When the brain registers a threat, it sends signals to alter gut function. That is why anxiety can cause nausea and stress induces irritable bowel symptoms. The gut and brain are integrated systems, continuously in dialogue, and the gut is doing far more talking than realized. Now let's look at Parkinson's disease, which is the fastest-growing neurological disorder. It progressively loses dopamine-producing neurons in the brain. But researchers are now asking, where does Parkinson's actually start? Increasingly, the evidence points to the gut. Abnormal protein accumulation appears in the gut's enteric nervous system years before brain symptoms emerge. This observation forms the Brock hypothesis. Parkinson's may originate in the gut, traveling to the brain via the vagus nerve in a prion-like manner. Research has now shown the same aggregates in the gut match early-stage brain pathology. Gut biopsies during colonoscopies may eventually diagnose Parkinson's years before conventional methods. If the gut is where Parkinson's begins, then it may also be where we can intervene earliest. The implications for diagnosis and treatment are profound, and clinical research is moving rapidly at Stanford and other research centers. Here's the picture that science is now assembling. Your gut has 500 million neurons, 5 times more than your spinal cord. It operates independently, sending more information to your brain than it receives, producing 90% of your body's serotonin and half its dopamine, hosting 100 trillion microbes that shape your brain chemistry. The gut is not a supporting organ. It is a co-pilot. Every time you decide what you eat, how you manage stress, how well you sleep, or whether you take antibiotics, you're deciding not just your digestion, but also your mood, brain chemistry, immune system, and neurological health. The gut-brain axis is one of the most researched fields in medicine now. The science is moving fast. Your gut is thinking about you. The least you can do is think about it. Leave a comment telling me which part surprised you most, especially if it's the serotonin statistic, because that one gets people every time. A like helps others find this video. And subscribe for more science like this every week. See you in the next one.